What is up, everybody? This is Recap or Rewind. I'm JLAG, and I'm here with
NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Versace episode 4, and it's titled House by the Lake.
And guys, don't forget to stick around for the end of the episode because we're going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our MVPs, our LVPs. So make sure you stick around for that. Yeah, what did you think of the episode?
So I think this was a really unique episode. So I think we even talked about it when we first started this podcast for this series, and we wondered why they started with Versace and then they kind of backtracked. So every episode, it seems, in the past couple episodes, it's taking it like murder by murder. So last week's was Lee Miglin's, and then this is Jeff Trails and David Madson's murder, which is the very first one that he commits.
Yeah. So it's almost like it's going backwards.
Right.
Why do you think, just out of curiosity, why do you think they did the Lee Miglin murder first?
Right. That's what I mean.
This.
I was wondering why, after episode 2, we didn't see the very first murders.
Yeah. I get why the Versace was the first one.
Right.
But then why is Lee the second one? Because maybe it's the most known. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure why they did it that way, because I'm assuming after this episode we're going to be going back to Versace.
Yeah, I think it's about time that we see Versace, yeah.
You know what it is, too, actually? I think, I don't know. They could have definitely been interchangeable. I'm not really sure what the reason why, because they, it doesn't really matter which one goes
I don't know.
where.
I think this episode, honestly, when I got to the end, A, I was so emotional, but B, it was almost like a standalone episode. It was really, there was something really just beautiful about it.
So unique.
The Lee Miglin, I just felt like it was a part of Versace, but I almost felt like this episode was on its own. It could honestly be a short film. That was it. It was just really beautiful, and it sort of had a beginning and then it had an end, right? And that's it.
So based on that, it really does tell the story of... It really focuses on David Madson, the person, the real person.
Yeah.
And really delves into his life and even gives him a really emotional backstory. So what did you think about just that as an overall piece?
So I noticed, guys, and I wonder if you guys feel the same way. The first episode with the Versace and the Miami, I ended up watching it maybe 2 or 3 times over just because I loved all the visuals and just the vibe of it all. These last 2 episodes with Lee Miglin and then now him, I can't even fathom going back and watching it because it was just so sad.
They're heart-wrenching.
And so emotional. It was too much. It was I don't want to go back there. It's a really dark place.
Yeah.
Even
though it was shot, it's not like it was this gritty
no, not at all.
But it was just a very sad story because you know that it ends in murder.
Yeah, and you're diving into his psyche a lot. He's really messed up. Mm-hmm. He's just really pathetic. There's nothing redeeming about anything anything.
Right.
So it's just it was hard to get through. It was really sad knowing that he's gonna die in the end.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about. I just want to talk about the very high level moments of what happens, but I really do want to talk about because this episode, I think more than any episode so far, has really made me question fact versus fiction. Because I feel
why do you say that?
I just feel there's so much dramatization. There's so many things that happen in this episode that you don't really know if any of these things actually happened. Any moment where they're in a public space, you can say okay, yeah, there was probably evidence that they were seen here and seen here.
Yeah.
But beyond
their
that,
actual conversations.
All those conversations,
right?
all the writing that was done on the inside of it.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder. We'll never really know. I'm assuming we'll never really know if those stories were or those conversations were had. But I wanted to ask you how you felt about how they wrote, David, and how they told this story.
I think this was the first time where I was I get it. I get that they have to make up these moments. They don't know if they're real or not. Because I was waiting for that moment, especially in the end when he basically calls him out. He calls out Andrew.
Yeah.
He's you're a fake. I had to see that scene. I was waiting for that scene. And we don't even know if it happened in that moment, obviously. But
right.
It's necessary. I get it. It doesn't always feel right. But this one I was I get it. I get why they have to add context to this. They have to add this dialogue. We don't even know if this is actually what he said.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to believe it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess the facts are they did run away together.
I think for the most part, yeah, like they do try to keep on the timeline. Like when people are seeing him outside, they must have actually seen him, right? Like that lady at the pit stop who like books him,
Right.
like books David. I'm sure that actually happened, right? Like
Yeah. So yeah, in that particular situation, that's what I mean. Like we can only use those for certain public visual cues to know where they were and what was going
yeah.
on. Otherwise, we'll never really know what the situation really was. Was it tumultuous? Was it, was it really like, David trying to escape every 5 seconds? Like, was he really just kind of going along with it because he was so terrified? Like, the question that I just have for you, NB, is like, did you like the way that it was all laid out?
I did. I appreciated it.
Were
And
there
like
any things
again,
that
like
you would were there any things that you would say that you
that
would
I
have
would do
wanted to
differently.
change? Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I really
like
Sorry, go ahead.
no. I think it was really beautiful, and like the first one with Lee made me question it a lot. Maybe because I wasn't like used to it or something. But this one, I was like, okay, like I have to just believe that like this is what he's saying in this moment. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of have to believe it.
I feel like it's
And
more
it was
just for
just
like
such beautiful moments.
yeah, it was just for story purposes. In all honesty, I really think that out of all the episodes, even versus if you want to pit it against last week's episode, they really did one of the most amazing tributes to this murder victim, essentially, right? Like David Madson.
And I think that's where you sort of like you have to find the balance of, okay, we're going to tell the story of Andrew Cunanan, but like also we have to sort of depict this really like almost beautiful picture of these victims too,
Of course, absolutely. And this was one of those episodes.
Yeah.
So just right off the top,
I was just shocked that I didn't know, like I had read about it, but I guess I forgot that, like I thought he killed them both in the apartment. Like I didn't know that they actually like drove away and like
right.
and like did a road trip. So I was just shocked even at that.
Yeah, same. I mean, I didn't know anything about the story, so just to see that he left David alive for a lot longer than Jeff, I was like,
I
whoa.
thought he killed them both at the same time, like boom, boom, and and then he like dipped.
So speaking of which, we start the whole episode off with that first and initial murder. So I guess it starts off with David turning down Andrew's marriage proposal, and then he decides to like orchestrate this whole situation where the character, or not the character, but the person's name is Jeff Trail, played by Finn. What's his name?
Finn.
Whatever his name was. He was the one in American Horror Story a couple seasons ago. Super handsome. And so he played Jeff, and he had to pick him up from downstairs. And then as soon as they get back into the apartment, he beats him to death. Andrew beats him to death with a hammer. And in this scene, in this shot, it shows David basically completely paralyzed by fear, and also because he's like in front of the door. And it was just like a very terrifying moment. What did you think of how they portrayed that whole situation?
What I was thinking was, in this moment, I was like, guys, he sounds so psycho right now. Like even before he went to pick up Finn from like the door, like I'm like, he legit sounds like a psycho and a weirdo. Like, how are you guys all friends with him? Like, I don't understand how nobody booked his like weirdness.
Right.
And that's what I keep questioning. I'm like, but guys, he's like blatantly like weird.
But I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, and it starts to make you question like your own friends and like your own life, and if you've ever met a freaking psychopath. But like, you never really know. Like, you see some people and you're like, oh yeah, that person's kind of weird, or that person's kind of like quirky, but you never think they're going to be violent and murderous. You know what I mean?
But
so
like
maybe,
but what I'm saying
maybe
is
that
like,
aspect of him came out of nowhere. Like,
maybe.
how was David to know that he was going to have some violent tendencies and like literally bring a hammer down on
but
this
like
guy?
I'm just saying, in that moment, like he already sounded psycho. Like he was being weird. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're just like making it more obvious because like we know that he's a psycho.
I definitely feel like they wrote him a little bit more crazy.
Like he's not charming at all. Like I don't see this charming side of who he is.
No,
they keep talking about it, but he ain't charming. Like he's weird.
Right. I mean that in that diner scene that you were just talking about with David and him at the very end, he does say that
he alludes to it, but I'm like, but we didn't see that part of him.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that they're gonna go even further back?
I mean, I would love that, to be honest. Like I really would, But I think I would have started that. I would have showed that first. Like make me fall in love with Andrew a little bit and then take me down this really fucked up path. But
Right.
now I'm like, I already hate him and like he's done all this like crazy things. Like I don't know if I would like believe that now at this point. You know what I mean?
To that point, actually, maybe that's the reason why they did it the way they did it, because they don't want you to feel any sympathy for a murderer who killed 5 people. You know what I mean? There's that moment
But that's the most
that's,
interesting thing is like making you feel things that like you would normally feel.
but we already know by episode 1 that this guy is a sociopath. Like, he doesn't even know how to shed emotion. But then you see it in episode 4, this episode, where they're sitting in the bar and he starts to cry, and I'm like, but why are you humanizing him now in episode 4, where I'm realizing that this guy's a literal psychopath going around killing people without any feeling by the end of the episode? Like, do you think that the fact that they kind of flipped the story so it showed the beginning in episode 4 and kind of like the end piece in episode 1, it shows him turning more and more into this like this heartless,
Well, I
like,
want to
robotic
see
psychopath.
like I still want to see because when we open in this episode, he's already crazy. Like he has it in his head that he's gonna kill this guy. I want to see like where he was before. Like where did you go from like being a person to like now I'm gonna kill this guy?
Right.
His first ever murder.
So you do want to see all those ins and outs of
I guess
him
I
being
still
like
would
a
want to see
psychopath.
it. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not that I don't want to see it.
'Cause,
It's
like-
more just like at the end of the day, he still killed these people, and I saw all these murders. I really don't want to get even deeper into his psychoses because I
Yeah.
don't want to give him an excuse for what he did.
No, there's no excuse anyways, but I'm trying to think also like how are they going to spread these episodes out? And I guess there's still like a lot of more story to tell.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I'm wondering whether or not they're going to be going and jumping back to the Versace storyline.
I
next
think they
episode.
have to. I think they have to. They can
Yeah.
they can only avoid Versace for like only like a short amount of time before they have to go back to him. Like he
True.
is kind of the flashy part of the show, right?
This episode, I totally forgot that I was watching Versace. Like,
Yeah.
completely. I completely forgot that I was
Yeah.
watching the assassination of Gianni
That's what I mean. Like
Versace.
it's such a like beautiful standalone like piece. Like
Totally. So yeah, as we're going along with this, we can talk a little bit about the police investigation and how they done fucked everything up too. You know,
yeah, so
there's-
basically just to like quickly summarize, he kills the first guy, right? He kills that guy.
yeah,
And then basically he convinces David to like dip the condo or whatever. He's like, we need to go, like they're gonna like find us here. Right? And then
he
they
convinces
leave.
him saying like, and that was an interesting motif in this episode too, is he says a lot of things that persuade him, saying like, we're gay, you're not going to be accepted,
sure.
they're going to see this as like a really bad situation.
He's
so
using fear. He's using fear to
using
control
fear.
him.
But in
and I
so
think
many-
David was just like messed up. Like he just saw like his friend die. Like he
Right.
doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
So the only person that he can turn to at this point in time is Andrew.
Yeah.
For those answers. But, it's really, really messed up to see that, in a sense, Andrew was kind of right. Like when you see the police actually come up and show up, they do have their presumptions. They do have these like ideas of what being gay is. And, like even them finding all the pornography and all these like sex toys and stuff, they're like, oh, it's like this situation. Like, those gays, they're like about that weird life,
Yeah.
So you can tell that there's this obvious and very innate stereotype and judgment that's coming through these police who are technically supposed to be neutral and like not supposed to see this as like, oh, well, they got themselves into some sort of trouble and this person murdered this person because they're all open sex people or whatever. You know what it is? Like,
Yeah.
this episode definitely shows, and it's that mirroring, that underlining concept throughout episode 1 to 4, that the police at this time of in the 80s, or no, the late
The
90s,
90s, yeah.
they still had these very negative presumptions of gay men.
So basically what happens is one of his coworkers comes over to his house and she's like, he would never like miss work without calling. Can I go into his condo and like check on him? Da, da, da. Anyway, so she gets in, they see like blood marks.
Yeah.
They see the body of Finn like wrapped up, but they think that it's him.
They think
that
it's
it's like David.
And
And then the cops show up,
yeah.
right? The cops show up, they start investigating. And then I think at one point the cops like, we can't keep going on because David's the killer.
Right.
we don't have a search warrant to be here. We're like, we can't like mess up this case. He's like,
Let's
let's
do it by
leave
the book.
now.
Yeah.
Let's do it by the book. And they're like, dude, like we're in the middle of an investigation. There's like a dead body. Like, how are you just gonna leave?
Yeah. I don't know.
He's like, no. He's like, let's dip.
Yeah. And it's interesting because they make the assumption that it wasn't David, or it wasn't David who was the murderer. It was the one who killed Andrew. Like in the very beginning, the investigator is he gets all his facts wrong because he's like, oh, the guy in the rug right now is dark haired, and so is Andrew.
Is Andrew. So then David killed Andrew.
And
Yeah.
then dipped.
Yeah.
So
they're just making assumptions, which is fine. Like, what are they supposed to think? Yeah, like that makes sense.
But I'm wondering.
But like, how about you like open the body up and like check who it actually is?
Right. I mean, they don't figure that out until a little bit later, and I think that's what it is. It shows that in the initial investigation, they got their facts wrong. So how could they put an APB out for the right person?
Yes, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
they can't be like, "Yo, David's."
They're just wasting time. Like, like you just see it. Like even a day goes by, like that's already a day lost. Like you guys could have like done something.
It's
so
true. It's true.
they're just very lax. They don't really care. Like. They're like, no, whatever. So it's just showing you again, like all the holes and all the things that they're like kind of skipping over.
Right.
And then I think eventually they do come back, right?
They do investigate the body, and then they like find out that it's not him. But before that, we start to see some amazing David flashbacks with his dad.
Yeah.
Which are kind of interspersed throughout the episode.
Yes.
To really give him a really amazing backstory in a really beautiful way, in my opinion. What did you think of those?
It was beautiful.
What did you think?
It was beautiful. It was totally necessary. They were beautiful. They made you feel for him even more. And I think they're based in truth because I'm sure like the dad like spoke to that. Like I'm sure he could like, say those moments. Yeah, I'm sure, like, right?
He came out to me this way. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, they were beautiful. I loved them.
So in the meanwhile, while they're figuring out that it's not Andrew and David are now kind of like off doing God knows what, and they end up at a bar. So that's like one pivotal scene, I think, right?
Yeah.
Where David tries to break through the bathroom window to get out.
What did you think of that?
So, well, he doesn't. He ends up going back, and I think it's just because in that moment he's hearing Andrew's voice, like in the back of his mind, saying like, "I don't think I can run because what am I gonna do? Who's gonna believe me?
Who's gonna believe you?" Yeah, I think that's the scariest thing. Is like, yeah, he can run away, but like, are they actually gonna think that he didn't kill that guy? Like, it's crazy. Because I kept forgetting. Like, there's like a dead body in his apartment.
Right.
So,
but the fear at this point in time, you know, it's really, really tough because you really wonder if he grew up and lived in a world where he felt like he was safe as a gay man, would he have just dipped from time and said like, let me go straight to the police right now because I know I'm going to be protected by them regardless, and they'll do their due diligence to make sure that I was innocent in all of this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, is it him being a gay man, or is it him just being like, oh shit, like they're gonna think I killed someone, plus that he's gay? Like, right. I think it's everything. Maybe also that like he has no idea where the F he is in the world. Like where do they just drive through? Like,
where in the world?
I don't know. I don't know. He also seems like a pretty like he was a really like well-known architect. Like he's a smart guy. Like I'm sure there's always a way out. Like your alternative to what, stay with a killer?
Yeah.
Like come on, man.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, you're either gonna be going to jail potentially, or you're gonna die.
You're gonna get killed. Exactly.
Like, or those are your only options. So that's the thing. Like I feel like when you see these moments, you wonder how tight of a leash Andrew had on him, because my worry is that, you know, you don't want to see this David's character being portrayed on the show to be like, oh, he was weak, he had so many opportunities to leave and he just like decided not to. I would have maybe rather have seen him, you know, really like have so much control over David and what he was doing in every single moment that he couldn't get away.
So I wonder if that moment was actually real.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
We don't know. We're not gonna know. Yeah.
But and I talked about it a little bit earlier just now, but I was saying, you know, this is the one moment that we see Andrew break down and cry when he hears the woman singing that song. Yeah. I forget what the song is, but he starts crying again. How did you feel about seeing him cry?
I mean, I didn't give a shit. I was like, you're still a killer.
That's what I mean.
Like it just shows you, yeah, he has emotions. Obviously, he has emotions. We know that. That's why he's so cray cray, because he can't keep his emotions in check. Like he's gone through shit in his life. I get that. I know that. I'm sure he's seen some really messed up things, but like, you're still a killer. I
You're
don't care.
still a murderer, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
Like
why
we
do
all
I have
have feelings, of course.
but like, why do I have to feel for you in this moment in time? You know
Yeah.
what I
No.
mean?
No. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, then we get another major scene, and we just talked about it a little bit earlier too, but we can delve into it now. Andrew and David at the diner. That was like one of
Yeah. Oh,
the
my
last
favorite
major
scene.
sign. So
Yeah.
David basically, he's like, I remember when I first met you, and you think this is going in a very positive like way.
No, I knew
You
right away. I
knew.
was like, he's like, I'm like, he's gonna book him. He's gonna say all that time, I thought you were like this, and like you're a fake.
You
Cause,
lied
cause,
to me.
because it had to get to a point in the episode where he says it. Cause this whole time, David's kind of just like saying, okay, 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 okay. I'm like, he can't just say okay and then like die. He needs to like somehow still book
Like fight
Andrew.
back at some point.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
some point, right? So basically he's like, yeah, you know, when I saw you, like you were with your all your rich friends, and like I was alone, the small town boy.
And he's
And
like, but it
Andrew's like
was all
feeling himself so hard.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
yeah, like I gave you a drink and like I wanted you to come over.
yeah.
I'm like, oh god, he's so
And then
annoying.
like that very last like paragraph of lines was like, you lied to me the entire time. You're fake. You don't know who you are. Like you're just like this like empty shell or whatever. And yeah, that was the end of that sequence.
Yeah, no, it was such a crazy. It was a really good scene, and you can tell Andrew he's getting more angry. Like
Right.
he's like, what's your problem? Like why are you
Like
saying these things?
why are you like destroying like my like this dream that we can have together
Yeah,
or whatever. So he's getting pissed off that like he's
yeah,
basically fighting back at this point in time. So the final scene, because like now we're at the end of the episode, the
yeah.
final sequence is and David and Andrew driving, and David finally just like flips his shit in the car, and he tries to like beat him
Like
up. Like I don't know
he
what he
tries to
does.
like steer the car off the road, I guess,
Right. So
and then
so this is the one thing that I will say, like regardless of if this was fact or fiction, this is the one part of the story where I really wasn't okay with how they wrote it, because I was like, all these moments this guy has to like dip and run away, and this is the moment that you guys decide to write him as a very aggressive person. Like
well,
who
don't
does that?
forget.
Do
Well,
you
don't
do
forget.
that?
Like,
Like would you
don't
ever
forget.
fucking
He
do
just
that?
saw someone die. I think those first 2 days, he was really like maybe just in shock still. Like he didn't understand what was happening,
Right.
and so it takes him a couple of days to be like, what the fuck? Like I don't want to be here though. Like I want to get out of here.
Right.
And we see him try to escape when they're in the forest when they slept in the car.
Right.
Like he was gonna run away at that point, and
That's
then like
true.
Andrew caught him. So like you can see him like slowly deciding that like he does want to leave.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I
So I
guess
guess
that's
it just
fair.
happens in the car, you know?
And like in a really bad moment, because
Yeah.
then
And maybe he's trying to kill him. Like he wants to kill Andrew. And
true.
like that's the only way he knows how to like get the car off the road or whatever.
Right. So then he strongholds him, and then Andrew has a gun, so he just pulls over to the side of the road, and he kind of gets to this area, and I guess that's why it's called House by the Lake, because there's a little shed and this like little grassy path where he takes David and basically like gets him on his knees and is like, now you're gonna have to die because you ruined my dream.
Yeah.
And what did you think of this final sequence?
Oh, it was just like a lot.
So
It was like really
emotional. This
sad.
episode was
Yeah.
so emotional. So like
At
seeing
first it was amazing how first of all, I think the actor that played David was like beautiful. Like he was such an
such a
amazing
good
actor.
job. Yeah, yeah.
And at first he's like pleading with Andrew. He's like, don't worry, like we'll have our life together, da da da. He's like basically just telling him what he wants to hear. And then it switches. He's like, no, stop this. You're legit crazy. You're this isn't gonna work.
Like he couldn't even pretend at that point.
He couldn't even pretend anymore because he's like, this guy's gonna kill me either way. Like I
Right.
can't even like I don't even know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
And Andrew's like kind of like believing it, but like not really. Like his gun's like kind of down, but then it's up. Like and then David just gets closer and closer.
And then he finally just says like, listen, like this isn't gonna happen or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just sad, and it's
He like
this,
looks down for a second. Yeah.
and like this like honestly one of the most heartbreaking scenes I've seen on an American Crime Story ever. He runs toward this house,
Yeah.
and it shows Andrew shooting him like through the back, but like he misses. And so then
I wanted them to do this so much.
So it was a little predictable the way it was all gonna fall down, because I like as soon as I like saw him run toward the house, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a memory. But like it was still just as heartbreaking to see him like reach the house, go inside, and then he sees his dad, and it's like this really, really sad moment. Does he sit down and talk to him or
Yeah,
no?
I know. He sits down and he gives him like a cup of coffee or whatever. And then as soon as he takes a sip, I'm like, oh shit, like he's dead, like he died. Or he got shot.
Right. And so then it flashes to like the real moment, which is him getting shot for the first, like, shot in the back and then just dying.
Yeah.
And that's how
he gets shot in the back, and then he's still breathing, and then Andrew comes over to him and shoots him in the freaking face, like as if it's not enough, man.
Exactly. So freaking sad. Honestly, such a sad, tragic story.
Yeah, it was really sad.
Like they wrote it really, really beautifully. So kudos to the team who put this episode together, because I was really heartbroken after watching it.
And like another surprising thing too was like when the cops do go to David's parents' house, the cops like, look, like we think David killed someone. Dad's like, no, like he would never kill someone.
Right.
And the cops like, well, I know more about your son than you do probably.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, oh, the parents don't know that he's gay. Right. But then it cuts to like the scene where like he's coming out to his dad. I'm like, oh, so he did. So the dad does know. Okay. Right. Like it was just a really beautiful, like there were so many like beautiful cutaways. Amazing episode. Like, it was really, really well done.
Really, really well done.
Yeah.
So let's get to our roundups.
Recap roundups. Best moment.
My best moment is gonna go to the diner scene, just because like I love diner scenes, and also when because he calls him out. He's like, you're a fake, you're a fraud, like you're crazy, and he even says it there. He goes, you're never gonna stop, like you're not gonna stop this.
Right.
Like you can't stop.
Yeah.
You can't stop killing people. It
was a really good scene. Yeah. Mine has to go to the scene with his dad when he comes up to his dad, because I thought it was really, really emotional.
That was so emotional.
Like, and the fact that he was like, why did you wait all this time to tell me? And he was like, I wanted to give you some good news that I gone to this architecture school, and then tell you like the bad news that I'm gay.
Yeah.
It's like this very like typical like really like sad coming out story. But it was cute to see like even the dad saying like, I need a moment, and like, it was it was a very cute. Real moment. I really liked it.
WTF moment.
My WTF moment, I don't know really if I had a specific one, but I think the whole like getaway scene, like when they go into the car, right. Like, just because I didn't think that actually happened. Like when I read the story of how he died, I assumed that they were both shot in the apartment and like that was the end of the story.
Yeah.
So just getting to see this whole episode with like them in the car and then him trying to get away, like it was just...
So your WTF moment was like the whole episode.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I was like, okay, this actually happened.
Okay. My WTF moment was definitely the first murder, because it was so abrupt and so quick.
Yeah.
Like seeing Finn, I don't know his last name, but like that actor, he's like a well-known actor now. And for him to have not even 10 minutes.
But it's going to happen. Like you knew that he was going to die.
I knew it was going to happen, but like I didn't know how it went down, and I didn't know it was going to happen that quickly. Yeah. Like he literally opens the door and he gets murdered right away. Yeah. He had like 3 lines, So for me to be, I was just in so much shock. I was like, shit, that was pretty intense.
MVP.
My MVP is gonna go to David.
Yeah, same with me.
Because I guess like he was the hero of the story.
Yeah. And I mean, the story, like in this particular moment, the hero fails, but it's a very, I definitely.
The only thing I can't say is that like, the fact that they couldn't figure him out, that nobody could figure him out. Like nobody could say, yo, this guy's really awkward. He's very weird. True. He makes weird comments. Like he looks at me weird. Like nobody was questioning him at all. And that's the part that I'm like, guys, like how he's like a weirdo.
What happened there? Yeah. How did you miss that? My MVP is also David. Regardless of whether or not he was able to book him, I think it was just really beautiful to see his entire story.
LVP.
My LVP, I'm gonna say Andrew, as always.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one really else to like choose, but I really hate him. I really freaking hate him.
Yeah, this episode made me hate him way more.
Yeah, like he's disgusting and like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing too. I guess like even seeing in this episode him knowing that he's now gonna go see Lee, I'm just like, you're still gonna go kill more people, dude. Like what the hell?
And I think, like you were saying before too, I think it's like the scariest thought that there are these crazy ass people living in our world, like functioning, like they're functioning humans.
Terrifying.
And they're legit psychopaths. Like how does this make sense? How does this happen?
How do people get away with living like that? And, like, no one books it.
No one books it.
It really makes you question like the people in your life. Like, I'm not joking.
For sure.
My LVP goes to the police because I feel like they really wasted a lot of time making a lot of negative presumptions about who David was and all, like, everything about, like, the situation, that it slowed the case down a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I think that's what it is. It's either going to be Andrew or the police in terms of our
Because at that
LVPs
point, so when he goes to Chicago to kill Lee, at that point when they find his car on the road, they do link it to a homicide, right?
Yeah.
So by that point, I'm sure in wherever they were just in this episode, they end up finding that he ended up killing David.
Yeah, I guess they
must
found
know
his
by
body
then,
on
right?
the side of the road.
Yeah.
So, and then he just, like, pieces out and goes to see him in Chicago.
Yeah.
The best line.
I think my best line or my best scene kind of was when he was booking him in the diner and he was like, you're never gonna stop, like, you can't stop this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right then too where I was like, David, you know this, so just leave.
Just walk
like
away.
You know he's not gonna stop, just like run away.
Yeah, it's so true. My best line was, and we didn't talk about it, but you just touched upon it, where the investigator's talking to the parents.
Yeah.
And he says, I know my son. And then the policeman says, I can say with certainty there's a great deal you don't know about your son. And it was also me just, like, seeing that the investigators think that they know all these things, and it's just because they found, like, these things in his place, you know what I mean? It's just like, how are you going to make all these presumptions that this guy is, like, this dangerous homicidal murderer if you don't really know the whole story? You know, you're just, like, assuming, and you're not going to believe that the parents know their son better, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of blew my mind seeing that whole sequence again. So.
Well, yeah, because for the investigator, he's like, this guy for sure didn't come out to his dad, you know, like he's assuming that, you know, like he already told his dad everything.
Exactly. So to see him be like, no, you don't know anything about your son because your son's like a sex maniac and he's gay or whatever. Yeah. It's just, like, very undermining to see that.
Yeah. Another huge moment was when David was crying in the beginning and he was like, oh my god, everyone's gonna find out. Like he didn't even care that they were gonna find out a dead body in his apartment. He was like, they're gonna find out who I am.
Yeah, they're gonna, like, be like, oh, it's the gay guy who's like shady, you know?
I was like, oh my god, like that's like heavy.
It's really sad. Yeah,
like there's a dead body in your apartment. You're not even worried about that.
You're more worried about getting caught for being gay.
Yeah.
So that's the episode, guys.
It was really good.
If you guys want to connect and let us know what you guys think about this season so far, please make sure you connect with us on recap_rewind on Twitter and Instagram, or you can connect with us on YouTube and leave some comments on the video.
Yeah.
And that's it, guys.
That's it.
Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Talk to you guys later.